stopped that video just because I noticed it was 24 minutes long, and I didn't want to press stop only to find that I've lost the whole thing. That's what happened yesterday. I think it even happened a couple of times. But anyway, so I found, going back to this caller, that, you know, I want to talk about him because I feel like I learn a lot from people, and I was learning a lot from him. But what he didn't realize is that I was actually trying to understand why he wasn't actually listening to what I was saying. I couldn't seem to understand that. He thought I was learning from him, as in taking the information that he was telling me and kind of analysing it, when I was. But I was also, you know, he said some interesting things. And it's weird, though, because, you know, his name happened to be Charles James. There was those two names. And he said, "What does this mean to you?" And it was like, well, when the day I was born, there was a boy who looked exactly like me, who I thought was my soulmate for ages, and I didn't say that part, but yeah, he was born in the same room a few hours after me, and he has a brother also called James, and then of course there's King Charles as well, and his surname happened to be King. So it's like you see things like this, and it's almost like, well, this is my higher self that's obviously gone back to the time you were born, which was back in the 60s. He's 65 years old now, so this is quite a long time ago. So he's obviously, my higher self has gone back in time, deliberately named him something that would kind of mislead me and make me feel like my higher self has deliberately set up this conversation. And therefore, when he was telling me about, I don't know, just some basic genetic stuff and traits, you know, on one hand it felt like my higher self might have deliberately set up this conversation and deliberately got him to, you know, there was we talked about March the 11th 2020 was exactly the 7-day period for when the 7 years after I met Martin, and that happened to be the day that my sister gave birth to a child, and it also happened to be the day that COVID became a national pandemic. And he found it interesting because he said on that exact day too, he had a big contract with a genetic stuff. Oh, I've actually forgotten it. He had some big contract that all fell apart, and his kind of life was ruined on that day. And then because of COVID, he couldn't come back, and they wouldn't let him fly. And I don't know, it was going on about something like that. But it was just like, okay, there's a little link there, and then it's got the little link with the Charles James, both of them being related to this. I don't know any James. In fact, I don't know any Charles other than King Charles. And for him to have those two names and King, and so it feels like that was meant to be. And then when I was trying to talk about my when I was posting him when I was going to expose the angels, he didn't understand, because he asked me, when is this all going to start? And I said, I don't know when it's going to start, because these it's the elites that I'm waiting for to come and help me, and then there's going to be a year where I do interviews, and then I'm going to expose the angels. And then he asked me a stupid question with, oh, so how are you going to do that? Are you going to stand on top of a building and shout their names or something? Like making a joke. That's a joke. To think that I can just stand to believe that I can just stand on top of a building and say, yes, I'm exposing the angels now. I mean, that's him saying that he fucking thinks I'm crazy. It's so annoying. It's like, on one hand, I see connections, and my higher self has set this conversation up, and I feel like I want to learn, because if he's a genetic scientist, I want to just speak to a genetic science about what you know, what's the difference between genetic influence and spiritual influence. You know, I want to know this, and there to feel like I've been set up by this, to have this conversation by my higher self, and then for him to say stupid things like, oh, how are you going to expose the angels? You're going to stand up on a building, are you? Are you taking the piss? I seriously think you're just taking the piss. I know, I do not plan to just stand on a building and say, I'm exposing the angels now. I mean, talking like I'm a fucking idiot or something. And it's just, and he wants to know why I was getting angry. Duh, I was getting angry because you were saying things, ridiculous things like this. No, I'm expecting the billionaires to help me get into a Big Brother house and expose the angels, expose their songs, show the conversation or how their songs link to their hidden angel name. But first, there needs to be a whole year of interviews where I get people to insult me to prove that no one's on my side, so that when the war happens, they can look back at these videos and realise why I'm at war with people. I told him this, and I said I don't know the date, and then when I told him, then I don't know, somewhere when I was going through the conversation, I realized he'd also revealed that his birthday was actually on the 14th, and I was like, oh, that's a coincidence. It happens that, that's the 14th is the day that I want to first start exposing the angels. What's the coincidence that not only has my higher self chosen his name to link to a boy that was born a couple of minutes after me. He was also, his birthday was on the day that I want to start the exposing of the angels. But this isn't the event that I'm taken. I told that there was a whole year beforehand, and I need to recover from being ignored for 12 years. And he didn't seem to even understand why I would want to recover from the 12 years. He didn't seem to know anything about me, and I'm just living in this total confusion. Like, on one hand, he seems to have loads of links. I love the Full Moon Party, and he claimed to set it up, and I don't believe he knows that I did go to them, unless of course I met him 3 years ago and I told him that I've been to Thailand. Maybe I often have conversations like going to Thailand and stuff like that, so maybe I've had a conversation with 3 years about my love for Thailand, and that's why I don't know. In fact, to be honest, I feel like I've had another conversation. That's weird. I just had a slight memory of actually talking to someone about the Full Moon Party and them saying that they thought they started it in 1988. So I'm wondering if I've just had a memory of a conversation, of meeting this guy 3 years ago. I don't think I've met him before. I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember, but I feel like someone else has once told me, or maybe this was actually when I was in Thailand, and there happened to be there was this group of people who also claimed that they were there right at the very beginning, and I don't know. I've had some sort of conversations. I can't remember. My memory is not very good. But yeah, I'm very confused, because there was quite a lot of things. And he also said he's going through lots of cancer problems, which is sad to hear. But I think he actually feels like he's searching for God, because he thinks he's dying. He's probably got only a couple of months left. That's what he's kind of told me. He's in 5-stage cancer, and he needs to have some treatments in a couple of months, and he might not survive it. So I feel sorry on that side of things. Well, he'll get a new body. It'll be fine. It's just you shouldn't worry. I think if you're seeking truth, then you'll be seeking reincarnation. But it almost felt like he wasn't actually interested in what I was saying, because if he was interested in what I was saying, then why would he think that me exposing the angels is just me standing on a building and screaming their name out? Like, I don't know if he said that as a joke, or if he said that as in like, oh, of course you. I don't think he believed anything. That's why he was telling me about the genetics and saying that I can learn from him just as much as he can learn from me, when really I don't think he was actually interested in learning from me or taking what I was saying seriously. I think he does see a concern. He did definitely see a concern arise in Islam, and I think he has a lot more concern over that. But yeah, I think his beliefs that Islam is going to be wiped off the face of the map soon. These people the leaders of Islam do want to serve God. I do believe that they want to serve the most powerfulest thing, the one that's going to win at the end. That is what everyone wants to worship. Everyone wants to worship the God that actually is real. When the leaders realize that Islam is actually an inverted religion, completely not true, has no truth to it, Muhammad's not my guy, anyone that goes around saying Muhammad is my guy is, they don't know me, and they are lying. Now, when the leaders realize this, they're going to turn against their own people, and this is just how it is. I'm not convinced that Trump is actually on the side of most Americans, and it's true that a lot of Americans do go around believing that Jesus is the only way, even though Jesus is actually just a kind of figure to get people to want to go into heaven. So yeah, it's a death cult and stuff. But I was trying to explain this to him, but on the other hand, I feel like he was only asking me this question because of his concern over Islam. But because he wasn't really listening to what I was saying, I felt like it didn't matter what I said because he wasn't listening to it. But I feel like I'm trapped, I feel like I'm trapped. And yesterday my videos kept being deleted, so I felt like I was kept being silenced, like something's silencing me, something's preventing people from understanding me. When I'm talking about a fake sacrifice, for some reason they miss off the word fake and start asking me questions about why I want to be tortured. It's fake. I'm not actually being tortured, and you couldn't understand that. And it's just like, what is he? What are these? Are these all robots? And people insult others who insult others, generally just talking about themselves. And he did call Elon a robot, so that's probably I don't know what humans are, and I don't know. But I don't want to hate him because I'm glad that he contacted me. But yeah, I, I need money, so I feel like I want to go back into massage. I don't want to advertise, but I can't be seeing people who want to talk about my religion, because people who talk about my religion seem to just have absolutely no interest in me being a god, and they still seem to just focus on sexual needs, sexual favors, sexual desires, sexual conversation, light talk, belittling comments, or comments that say, oh, you can learn just as much from me as I can learn from you. If I'm saying that I'm God and you're saying that my views about religion are just as valid as yours, well, that's actually just an insult to me, because it's like, well, you're not God. If you have opinions about your own life, your opinions are far more important than mine. Why? Because it's your life, your choice. That you, so you can have lots of valid points about your own beliefs, or why you are the way that you are, and I'm not you, so I don't really know why you are. As a human, I don't really know why you are the way that you are, because I haven't experienced what you've experienced. So your points are more valid than mine. But because I know that I am God, my points about God and what I think I've done during the timeline, and why I've made the timeline, and how timelines are made, and where I came from before, this is all to do with me. So my views are more valid than yours, and my views, if I believe that I've made Islam, and if I believe that I've made all these false beliefs and false religions and false stories and false ideologies, or not necessarily made, but worked with people, I know why I did it. I would have worked with people to see what they wanted to believe, see what they wanted to promote, see what they loved, see what they fancied, see what would make them tick, or make them go, or make them do things, and I would have worked with their beliefs. And so to think that your views are, oh no, God's just some sort of energy force, are you that energy force? Because if you're not that energy force, then my views are far more valid, because I am actually claiming to be the source that made all this stuff. You can make valid points for your own life, and I can make valid points on my own life. Now, if you're not God, then you cannot make more valid points than me, because you are not God, or you do not believe that you're God. And he did say that he's had a few conversations. He's interested in religion too, and he's had a few conversations with people that are God. But it's clear, or Jesus, did I say? I made it clear. Not many. I didn't actually say that. I was going to say that, but I ended up getting distracted by all the other things. But yeah, there's a difference. Most people who claim to be God don't actually claim to be God. They claim to be Christ or a Messiah or some sort of prophet. They do not claim to be God. The number of people who actually says I am God is actually extremely rare, and most of these people only end up changing their mind like a week later. So do not confuse someone who's calling themselves a prophet with someone who's calling themselves God, because those are two different things. And anyway, I just wanted to say all that. It's interesting how someone else called me yesterday who was lying and said that he was 55, then changed his on the next message. He said that he's seen my advert. I haven't put an advert out for a very long time. I haven't put an advert out for 2 years, and okay, there might be sometimes you put an advert out a very long time ago and it just stays up somewhere. I don't know. I think there might be one that is, I don't know, and something that I never got any response from, so I never bothered about it. But I don't know, there might be one out. But he said he's seen my ad, and but I'm wondering if it's the same person. I'm wondering if the guy that called me yesterday is actually the guy that called me the night before, at 12 till 3 in the morning, because I haven't got an ad out, and he said he did. And this guy also didn't seem to listen to things that I said, but seemed quite interested. This guy was also 65, although he said he lived very close. And the other guy I spoke to said he lives near where my sister lives, in South London. But yeah, I'm. If he has booked for today, but he also sent me a picture of him or someone who looks older with an incredibly large penis. I don't know why people send these sort of stuff. But yeah, I didn't want that picture. Whoever would say, can I have a massage? Yes, I only want just a massage, and then send me an image of themselves with a massive penis. If that's even him, I don't know. I'm not expecting him to show up. I remember massaging, you do get all these people that just want to have a conversation. They make a booking, they say, can I come? And then they start texting you lots of shit and lots of pictures of dicks and stuff like this. And then they, of course, they don't show up. You know, I remember this. This is why I don't want to do it, because it frustrates me how people have no respect for me. He seems like he had respect, but yeah, it's probably the same. I have a suspicion it's the same person, in which case this guy is not going to show up, but I don't know. This is what I have to deal with. Animals. I have to deal with animals. And, you know, if I was just a normal human, then fine. But I'm not a normal human, and I'm not attracted by your fucking dick, okay?